So guys, after our first set of discussion yesterday, we specifically discussed property income and we discussed trading income. Let's take ahead our discussion of trading income by talking about capital allowances. Now, in vernacular terms, in simple terms, capital allowances means income tax wala depreciation. ठीक है. अब how is this calculated? Let's understand. Capital allowances are given on the original cost of a capital asset and all subsequent qualifying expenditure of a capital nature. Capital allowances basically is, as I have been saying the words again and again, this is income tax wala depreciation. ठीक है. And while calculating the trading income, you are allowed to subtract the capital allowances. They are basically given on the amount of investment in capital assets. So, how is the calculation done? What you have to do for capital allowances discussion is all the assets that you have invested in, that you have purchased, will have to be divided into different pools. Okay, there will be a main pool, there will be a special rate pool, cars will be treated separately, buildings will be treated separately, and so on and so forth. So, what is a pool? A pool is, as the name suggests, all assets belonging to a particular category are put together in one place. So instead of calculating, see, in your financial reporting, depreciation is calculated on individual assets. Here, the capital allowances are not calculated on individual assets. They are calculated on a block of assets which are put together in a pool. Okay. The main pool or the general pool, how is that expressed? In the main pool you have plant and machinery basically, and capital allowances are claimed on that. What all items are included in the main pool? Most items of plant and machinery purchased are included in the main pool. Some cars are also included in the main pool, namely all cars with CO2 emissions between 1 gram and 50 gram, and then second-hand cars with zero CO2 emissions. Okay, second-hand car with zero CO2 emissions, all car with CO2 emissions between 1 gram and 50 gram are included, but the calculation of capital allowances is done slightly differently for cars. Although they are a part of the main pool, there are some special rules that you need to keep in mind. ठीक है. When an asset is acquired, the purchase price increases the value of the pool. And when an asset is disposed of, when you sell an asset, you have to subtract something from the pool. What is that value? You have to subtract the lower of sale proceeds and original cost. ठीक है. So whatever are the sale proceeds on disposal of on sale of assets in the pool, compare that with the original cost of that particular asset. The lower of the two will be subtracted. ठीक है. Now, items that are compulsorily included in the main pool: new cars with zero CO2 emissions, new or second-hand cars with CO2 emissions in excess of 50 grams, assets that are partly used for private purposes, partly for the business purpose, then expenditure on short life assets and expenditure incurred on items that form a part of the special rate pool. Okay. So when you are calculating the capital allowances, what you do is there is one asset worth 4 lakh, another asset worth 8 lakh, something worth 15 lakh. You take all of them together, and that is the total capital expenditure. It is clubbed together. It is not calculated individually. Okay. In the main pool and in the special rate, there is something known as the special rate pool also. ठीक है. What items are included in the special rate pool? The special rate pool includes long life assets, integral features of a building or structure, thermal insulation of a building, high emission cars. High emission cars are cars with CO2 emissions greater than 50 grams per kilometer. Now, what are long life assets? Long life assets are defined as those with an expected working life of 25 years or more, total cost of 1 lakh pounds or more in a 12-month period of account. If the definition is satisfied, the items must be treated as long life assets. So the working life has to be 25 years or more and the cost has to be 1 lakh or more in that particular period. ठीक है. And expected life for a long life asset has to be more than 25 years. It is from the date first brought into use to the date it ceases to be capable of being used by anyone. And what are some of the examples of long life assets? You have aircraft, agricultural equipment, air conditioning units. Basically, see if the life exceeds 25 years or more and then include that. ठीक है। Cars and plant and machinery situated in a building used as a retail shop can never be classified as a long term asset or a long life asset, 25 years or more and value 1 lakh or more. ठीक है। Then what are integral features of a building in the United Kingdom? From what I have heard, you have, as a part of the building structure, you have these pipes which basically help for heating of the premises, during cold days, or cold water systems, electrical systems like wiring and all, which is a part of the building structure in the first place. Then lifts, escalators, moving walkways, all of these are included as a part of the integral features of the building. Like, when you go to the airport, there are these, motorized walkways. You stand on that, and it quickly helps you to pass that particular part, or escalators, lifts, all of these are included as integral features of a building. ठीक है। Thermal insulation is also included in special rate pool. Where a building is purchased and the exam question does not make it clear whether fixtures and fittings are included in the purchase price, there may be marks available for identifying that capital allowances could be claimed on fixtures and fittings. Basically, building जो है उस पे you will get structures and buildings allowance, which we'll see later. But on integral features of a building, they are a part of the special rate pool. Then you have what else? Integral features of a building: thermal insulation and high emission cars. Cars with CO2 emissions of more than 50 grams per kilometer. Once you write, Once you segregate the items into main pool and special rate pool, make sure that within the main pool you have a separate column for cars, and within the main pool you have, and within the special rate pool you have a separate column for cars. Cars should not be clubbed together with any other item in the pool. Why? You will get to know in a minute. Now, in order to promote more and more investment in capital assets for infrastructure purpose, the UK tax authorities give you something that is known as an annual investment allowance. What is annual investment allowance? This is for the first 10 lakh of expenditure incurred by a business on plant and machinery, you are allowed to subtract 10 lakh. For example, the total expenditure incurred is 12 lakh. From 12 lakh, you are allowed to subtract 10 lakh in the year in which the investment is made. This is available to all businesses, available on acquisition of plant and machinery in the main pool, not available on cars, not available on buildings that qualify for structures and buildings allowance. Cars are always an exception, please remember. Limited to a maximum of 10 lakh expenditure incurred in a 12-month period of account. For long and short periods of account, the maximum allowance is increased or reduced to reflect the length of the period. ठीक है। अब if it is a short, I'm not talking about a shorter length, I'm talking about a short period of account. ठीक है। Which means if my assessment is for a short period of account, then 10 lakh will have to be reduced proportionately or increased proportionately. Now, say for example, your main pool total qualifying expenditure is 10 lakh. From 10 lakh you subtract, sorry, 12 lakh. From that you subtract AIA of 10 lakh, you are left with 2 lakh. उसपे, so this 10 lakh that you subtract in one shot is your annual investment allowance. This is per year 10 lakh. If you don't use the entire 10 lakh in a year, the amount lapses. You cannot carry it forward to the next year. Like, so many different items basically in allowances can be carried forward. This is an allowance that cannot be carried forward from one year to the next. It will get lapsed. ठीक है। And after adjusting AIA, the amount is 2 lakh. Uspe, if the item is in the main pool, please remember, if the item is in the main pool, what will you do? You will calculate written down allowance at the rate of 18%. Written down allowance, it's like your WDV method of depreciation, but here there is a standard rate. If the item is in the main pool, you will get 18% WDA. If the item is in the special rate pool, you will get 6% WDA. So, यहाँ पे if the item is in the special rate pool, total expenditure is 12 lakh, subtract AIA 10 lakh, amount after adjusting AIA 2 lakh. Uspe now, because you are in the special rate pool, you will get WDA of 6%. So 2 lakh into 6% is 12,000. Now remember, where should you claim AIA? In the main pool or special rate pool? See, Observe, if the individual first allocates AIA against the main pool, 12 minus, so expenditure in both the pools is 12 lakh. Main pool में 12 lakh, special rate pool में 12 lakh. ठीक है, you subtract AIA here. ठीक है, 10 लाख का AIA सब्ट्रैक्ट किया, यू आर लेफ्ट विथ 2 लाख. 2 लाख पे 18% WDA इन द मेन पूल इज 36,000. 12 लाख पे 6% WDA इज 72,000. ठीक है. हाउ मच इज द टोटल कैपिटल अलाउंस? टोटल कैपिटल अलाउंस इज 10 लाख प्लस 36,000 प्लस 72,000. ठीक है. ऑप्शन टू एलोकेट्स AIA फर्स्ट अगेंस्ट द स्पेशल रेट पूल, 12 लाख एंड 12 लाख. ठीक है, बट यू एलोकेटेड AIA हियर. हाउ मच डिड यू एलोकेट? फुल 10 लाख. 12 माइनस 10 किया तो कितना बचा? 2 लाख. ऑन 2 लाख 6% इज 12,000. ऑन 12 लाख, सी मेन पूल में से यू सब्ट्रैक्टेड नथिंग. इस पे नाउ यू विल गेट 18% WDA. 12 lakh into 18% is 2 lakh 16,000. What is the total capital allowance? 10 lakh, 2 lakh 16,000 and 12,000. That is 12 lakh 28,000. This is the total amount of capital allowances claimed. ठीक है. So where is it more beneficial to allocate the AIA? More beneficial to allocate it against the special rate pool first, because that way you can accelerate the capital allowances. ठीक है. Now, in case of AIA, see, AI taxpayers do not have to claim any or all of the AIA. If they don't want to claim AIA, it's okay. They can, it's not compulsory to claim AIA. It is optional. If you want to claim, you claim. If you don't want to claim, you can be without that as well. Now, AIA calculation must be done before taking into account any disposal. AIA for related businesses, please keep in mind, if a person, businesses owned by the same individual are regarded as related where they engage in the same activities or they operate from the same premises. I have my ACCA coaching business and I also have my consultancy business operating out of the same premises. Then AIA will be split between the two businesses. 110 lakh entitlement for both. या फिर engage in the same activities. What does that mean? I am operating my business out of, I'm operating ACCA coaching business out of Mumbai and I am operating ACCA coaching business out of Delhi. Same business out of two different premises. Then again, AIA split between the two businesses. दोनों को मिला के there will be a same claim of 10 lakh. But imagine I have a coaching business in Delhi and a consulting business in Mumbai. Two separate businesses operating from two separate locations. Each business is entitled to its own AIA. ठीक है. Now, other points to note, if you are VAT registered, include all additions of plant and machinery at VAT exclusive prices except for private cars or except for cars with private use, which are included at the VAT inclusive prices. If not VAT registered, then of course you will have to take the full amount. Now, pre-trading capital purchases include if incurred in 7 years before the trade commenced, treated as acquired on the first day of trade at its market value on that date. So next year I will start my own coaching company. But before I start my own coaching company, today I have purchased a laptop or a projector which I am going to use in the next year. So this is amount incurred in the 7 years before the trade commenced. On the date when I start my own business, on that day I can include that amount at the market value and claim AIA. Acha. Now, how do I keep in mind what comes before and what comes after? When you are preparing the calculation, I keep ABCD in mind. A comes before D, so AIA should be given before the disposal proceeds are adjusted. A before D, so AIA to be adjusted before disposal proceeds. W comes before, so W comes after D. ठीक है. If W comes after D, then WDA should be calculated after the disposal. This is how I keep things in mind. Otherwise, it's so easy to forget. ये जो WDA है, pay attention. WDA is 18%. ठीक है. WDA is given or calculated on the unrelieved expenditure in the pool after adjusting for AIA and FIA. ठीक है. अब WDA is calculated after taking into account the disposal proceeds. It is reduced proportionately for shorter periods. But it is not, say for example, an asset is acquired on 1st of October. You held the asset only for 6 months. That doesn't mean that you will proportionately reduce the WDA. But if the business started on 1st of October, then you will claim only 6 months of WDA. There's a difference in the two, huh? Business started on 1st of October, claim and year ends on 31st of March, then calculate only 6 months of WDA. But business was running throughout the year. Okay? Business was running throughout the year, and what happened? You purchased the asset on 1st of October. ठीक है, business was running throughout the year, you purchased the asset on 1st of October, then don't make a proportionate calculation for WDA. ठीक है, and AIA WDA both don't depend upon the date of purchase. On the balance left after subtracting the AIA, you should calculate WDA at the rate of 18%. So tax year 25-26, 20 lakh capital expenditure, 10 lakh AIA, balance left 10 lakh, उस पे आप 18% करो. How much is left? Into 18%, 1,80,000 is the WDA. TWDV is 8,20,000. Carry it forward to the next year. उस पे 18% लगाओ WDA. You get 147,600 and you keep on carrying it forward to the next year. Up when you come to year 27-28, TWDV मतलब written down value brought forward is 670 to 400. New capex is 8 lakh. AIA is given only on the fresh capital expenditure, not on the TWDV brought forward. So here you can claim 8 lakh worth of AIA and then carry forward the calculations. ठीक है, so this is how you need to be careful about calculating AIA and WDA. Now, what comes after this? The small pool WDA, where the balance immediately before the calculation of WDA on the main or special rate pool is less than 1,000, the balance can be claimed as WDA and written off in that year. The £1,000 limit is for a 12-month period of account. It is therefore increased or reduced to reflect the length of the accounting period. The claim is optional. ठीक है, अब TWDV 800, you can continue to claim 18%, 18%, 18%, or instead of claiming such small amounts, if the TWDV is less than or equal to 1,000, पूरा का पूरा amount you can claim as a written down allowance in case the balance on this main pool or the special rate pool is £1,000 or less. ठीक है, now when it comes to cars, there are certain points you need to keep in mind. I divide the cars into 4 categories. Zero emission electric powered, no CO2 emission, fully electric powered cars. If the car is new, 100% FYA. ठीक है, if the car is second hand, as for standard emission cars. ठीक है, जीरो एमिशन इलेक्ट्रिक पावर्ड. ठीक है, फर्स्ट ईयर में यू विल गेट 100% फर्स्ट ईयर अलाउंस. ठीक है, इफ इट इज अ सेकंड हैंड कार, then treat it like any other standard emission car. Standard emission means CO2 emission is between 1 and 50 grams per kilometer. Put it in the main pool. WDA 18% for 12 months. Cars are not eligible for AIA. ठीक है, if the car has a CO2 emission of more than 50 grams per kilometer, put the car in the special rate pool. WDA claim at the rate of 6% for a 12-month period. ठीक है, and प्राइवेट यूज ऑफ द कार कीप इट सेपरेट. WDA कैलकुलेट करो, जितना प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ प्राइवेट यूसेज होगा उतना अमाउंट विल बी डिसअलाउड. ठीक है, जस्ट रिमेंबर इफ द कार इज अ जीरो एमिशन फर्स्ट हैंड इलेक्ट्रिक पावर्ड व्हीकल, देन यू कैन क्लेम द फर्स्ट ईयर अलाउंस ऑन दैट. ठीक है, फर्स्ट ईयर अलाउंस इज 100% ऑफ द एक्सपेंस मेड इज अलाउड एज अ डिडक्शन इन द फर्स्ट ईयर. In what all cases do you get it? New cars with zero CO2 emissions. In the period of acquisition, 100% FYA is given instead of WDA. Unlike the AIA and WDA, FYA is never apportioned for time periods of greater or less than 12 months. The taxpayer does not have to utilize all or any of the FIA. It is a choice. It is your discretion. If you want, you can go for it. If you don't want, you can drop it. If the FIA is not used at all, WDA will still be available. FIA is not given in the final year of trading. In the cessation of business wala discussion, you will do well to remember that FIA is not given in the last year. ठीक है. अब if a question is ever posed to you, what you should do is, this is basically in your regular sheet also, prepare a table this way. Write down the opening TWDV, main pool. What I would do is, main pool mein I would write down cars. Main pool I will divide into two categories. ठीक है. Others and cars. Similarly, special rate pool also I'll divide it into two categories, others and cars. ठीक है. Because cars पे AIA नहीं है, others पे AIA है. This is again आपका Kaplan study text and इसमें थोड़ा सा differently they have done it. I prefer doing it this way so that there is no confusion. ठीक है. Write down the asset in the individual column. You will be able to tackle it in a far easier manner. न्यू asset purchase को इधर डाल दो, कार्स को इधर डाल दो. This 17,000 is what? Purchased a new car with CO2 emissions of 0 gram per kilometer. So 100% FIA. Because you do it separately, you get a bird's eye view. Then there is absolutely no scope for any confusion. ठीक है. Businesses have the option to waive off capital allowances. You know, what the companies might do is, yeah, in the current year, they are already encountering a loss. If they claim the capital allowances, excuse me, the loss will be even more. And the company believes that, in the next year, we will have good profits. So we need some expenses to reduce the profits in the next year. So what a company can do is, it has a choice whether or not to claim the loss in the current year. It can push the loss to the next year also. Sorry, it can push the AIA claim to the next year. It can push the WDA claim in the next year. That is allowed. But हाँ, AIA का कैसा है? AIA is only given in the year of acquisition. So if you want to do tax planning, ठीक है. अब there is an acquisition that you want to do on 28th of March and you don't want to claim AIA this year. AIA, if not claimed, will get lapsed. So push the date of purchase by a couple of days. If you push it to the next week, you go into the next financial year, record the purchase then and claim the AIA. WDA can be pushed to the next year because that is ultimately your discretion. Current year may you want to claim 18%, claim 18%. If you can't, push it to the next year. ठीक है. Okay. Now, accelerating capital allowances, which is basically the depooling election. The depooling election is to treat an asset as a short life asset. It enables a trader to accelerate capital allowances on certain types of short life plant or machinery. However, if eligible for AIA, there will be no expenditure left to depool and the short life election will not be made. Basically, what you should be looking at is the asset expected to be completely used or disposed of within 8 years from the date of purchase, then you can depool. Matlab, instead of putting it in the main pool, you can show it as a separate column. Now, what benefit do you get out of it? Let's see. Geeta has traded for many years and preparing accounts to 31st of March each year. The TWDV on the main pool was 15,000 on 1st of April 23. In May 23, she acquired a new machine costing 1 lakh. She anticipated that the machine would last 2 years and she eventually sold it on 30th June for 17,500. In August 2023, she acquired general plant and machinery for 11 lakh. ठीक है. She has acquired a new machine for 1 lakh. She anticipated that the machine would last for 2 years and then she would sell it for 17,500. Calculate the capital allowances each year, illustrating whether or not an election to treat the new machine as a short life asset would be beneficial. Assume the rates for the year 23-24 apply throughout. See, if you depool, the asset does not remain a part of the main pool and separate calculations are made. If you don't depool, then the asset remains a part of the main pool. Opening TWDV tha 15,000. In May 23, you acquired an asset worth 1 lakh. She anticipated that machine would last for 2 years and then she would sell it for 17,500. ठीक है. And in August 23 same year she purchased plant and machinery for 11 lakh. Opening था 15, addition during the year 12 lakh, AIA 10 lakh, balance 2 lakh 15, उस पे 18% WDA 38,700, TWDV at the end of the year is 176,300. You carry it forward to 24-25, you claim 31,734 WDA at 18%, you are left with 144,566. ठीक है. Carry forward 144,566 to next year. अब in the year 25-26 you are selling the asset for 17,500. What should be subtracted, by the way? When an asset is disposed of, the pool value is reduced by lower of sale proceeds and original cost. ठीक है. What was the original cost? Original cost was 1 lakh, getting sold for 17,500. तो 17,500 subtract करो, balance left is 127,066. From that you subtract written down allowance 22,872. ठीक है, 18% के हिसाब से, एंड यू गेट TWDV ऑफ 104,194. टोटल कैपिटल अलाउंस इन 3 years 10 lakh, 38,700, 31,734 एंड देन 22,872. कितना? 109,306. And capital allowances in the last year are 22,872. This is when the depooling election is not made, the asset is very much a part of the main pool. What if the depooling election is made? मेन पूल में लिखो 15 लाख 15,000, 11 लाख का एडिशन इन द मेन पूल, 1 लाख का एडिशन फॉर द शॉर्ट लाइफ असेट. डीप पूल, टू पूल मीन्स टू ब्रिंग टुगेदर, टू डीप पूल मीन्स टू सेपरेट इट आउट. तो शॉर्ट लाइफ असेट के कॉलम में लिखो 1 लाख, subtract 10 lakh here for AIA, you are left with balance of 1,15,000. यहाँ पे you are left with balance of 1 lakh. इस पे 18% 2,700, इस पे 18% 18,000. Total amount is 38,700. Your TWDV carried forward is 176,300. Pretty much the same as this one. No difference in year one. Look at year two. 94,300 पे 18%, 16,974. 82,000 पे 18%, 14,760. टोटल कितना? 31,734. सेम एज दिस ईयर. ठीक है. TWDV कैरीड फॉरवर्ड में कितना बचेगा? इतना बचेगा, 144,566. Same as this one. Now see what happens in the last year. In the last year, there is opening TWDV 77,326. उस पे you calculated 18% WDA. Now the short life asset was 67,240 का TWDV बचा था. From that you subtracted disposal proceeds of 17,500. Balance left is 49,740. Now there is a written down value left in the asset account. Observe, huh? There is written down value left in the asset account, but you are asset has been disposed of. अभी asset तो बचा ही नहीं है. So 49,740 will be claimed as balancing allowance in the last year. See how much total capital allowances are claimed. Total capital allowances are 10 lakh plus 38,700 plus this much plus these two. If you look at the total capital allowances claimed for 3 years, you get a number of 11,34,093, and capital allowances claimed in the last year are 63,659. See, the good part is that in this case you are able to claim the entire amount. ठीक है, you are able to claim the entire amount. So after the asset has been disposed of, nothing relating to the asset stays on the balance sheet. ठीक है, stays on the tax calculation, not the balance sheet. And capital allowances claimed in the last year are more. So basically by doing this, you are accelerating the capital allowances. ठीक है, guys, give me one moment. ठीक है, so you understood how the depooling election works? Okay. अब हायर परचेस असेट्स को कैसे करना है डील. ठीक है, लेट्स सी दैट. For hire purchase contracts, the individual is treated as if the individual treats as if the asset was purchased outright when the contract was taken out. These are basically assets that you have taken on installments. on installment basis. And what is the basis of assessment? The basis of assessment runs from 6th of April to 5th of April. In most questions, this might be altered to 1st of April to 31st of March. Now remember, when you are doing trading income calculations, देर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि ये जो कैपिटल अलाउंसेस वाला पार्ट है ना, ऑल ऑफ दिस इज रिक्वायर्ड नॉलेज. आई मीन यू शुड नो हाउ कैपिटल अलाउंसेस वर्क, बट द focus in ATX exam is not going to be capital allowances, or it's not going to be, all the complex rules relating to individuals. The focus is going to be on something else. I hope that is very clear to all of you. ठीक है, तो ये करना, आई एम नॉट सेइंग डोंट डू दिस, बट डोंट स्पेंड टाइम ओनली ऑन दिस. You have to look at other topics also.